We're going to start this week highlighting the efforts of Representative Hafner and many others working on the enhanced penalties for crimes against law enforcement officers. So I'll turn it over to Representative Hafner.
Yeah, this bill, there was a lot of discussion and debate about whether it should be enhanced penalties or not, and if it was intruding on people's rights or not. But in the end, we had bipartisan support for the bill, and I think it's intended to show support for our law enforcement officers.
Is there anything specific on that?
One of the criticisms that was raised on the floor by Democrats when the bill was brought up for perfection was, we're moving penalties forward, increased penalties here, but their argument was that not enough has been done in response to Ferguson in the past couple of years. Would either one of you like to respond to that?
Well, it may be, but those are two entirely different subjects, and we do need to have some more discussions on resolving the events that happened in Ferguson, but that had nothing to do with this bill.
Is there any validity to the argument that it's an anti-protest measure in any way?
No, not at all.
No. The next bill we want to highlight today is the work that Representative Dogan and Representative Hill collectively did on the Blue Alert, and so I'll turn it over to Representative Hill for that one. You want Justin?
Yeah. So Blue Alert has been established in other states. It's great that Missouri now has this tool to aid law enforcement and to expedite the sharing of information for not only when our law enforcement officers are injured, but general public safety is helped with this measure as well. Questions?
The governor put in $250,000 in his budget for the Blue Alert system, but the fiscal note says $60,000. Which estimate?
$60,000 was the build out of the software. The governor putting forward $250,000. I mean, I think that's great. Will it take it? We just don't know yet. I think it was just a good, comfortable number to make sure one of his priorities is accomplished.
How soon could we see the first Blue Alerts being issued?
My guess it's going to take within a year.
Assuming the bill.
Yeah, absolutely.
How much discussion did you guys have with the governor about this particular bill?
You know, we've had our fair share. I mean, but with a new governor and many priorities, this is just one of the pieces of the pie.
Great.
Thank you.
The next bill we want to highlight, and one that he clearly is an expert on it, and I know it's one of the bills that Jason Hancock is most excited about this session, the deregulation of hair braiders. And look, this is something that the governor identified, and it's something that I've talked about, and Representative Dogan has talked about for a long time, and it's emblematic of what happens when you start to overregulate. And I don't know if any of you were in the committee hearing, but to hear the testimony, both of the customers and the providers, and the thought that you've got to have 1,500 hours and pay $15,000 before you can get paid to braid someone's hair in this state is ridiculous. So I'm really, really proud of the effort of Representative Dogan to get this bill over the line, and I'll turn it over to him.
That's right. I'm really pleased that we had a very strong bipartisan vote for the Hair Braiding Freedom Act. We only had 10 votes in opposition, and as the speaker mentioned, this is something that I've been working on for 3 years now. We've had a couple lawsuits which made this necessary. It's kind of funny that we even have to discuss hair braiding in this body and in this state, but it's necessary because the state is spending resources going after people for simply trying to earn a living braiding hair. And so with this first step, we're hopefully going to get these braiders the ability to make a good living and make Missouri a more attractive place to do business.
Do you think it's important to continue looking at other areas of business where this is happening? And then also for prospective businesses, I know that there were a couple of bills last year, I think regarding surveyors, but I'm not sure, that wanted to become regulated or licensed.
Well, I think this is just kind of the start of looking at a whole bunch of other professional registration and licensing issues in that committee. I'm not on the committee, so I don't know what exactly their scope is going to be, but it's like one of those things where if you can't do this, one of the most outrageous examples of an overregulation, we can't tackle the other things. So we at least were able to find some consensus on this, and so there's hope that some of these other things that we take a look at, we can, again, put some, decrease the burdens on some of these business owners.
You anticipate we'll see more regulation
I do.
bills?
You-
later this year?
Yeah, we've got a number of other measures in the pipeline looking at other professions, and I think almost all of those have been sent to the Professional Registration Committee. They're going to continue to look at those issues throughout the session and identify areas where we can remove a regulatory burden to economic activity. Anybody else? The last bill we'll highlight this week is the effort of Representative Vescovo on project labor agreements, something he started working on last year. Proud of his continued effort on this to just allow everyone in the state to compete for business on an even playing field. So with that, I'll turn it over to Representative Vescovo.
Sure. So even the title of the bill is Fairness in Public Construction. We want to give the ability to all taxpayers to have the opportunity to bid on construction jobs that are funded, publicly funded. Right now, they don't have that opportunity when PLAs are called for, so we want to do away with PLAs so that we have that opportunity that all of our taxpayers can bid on these jobs. I'll take any questions if anyone has any.
It's just that good an idea, Rob.
And I've been working on it since I came to the House 3 years now.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Fire away.
Now, I'll ask you the same thing I did last week. What's next in the labor reform agenda?
I know that the Economic Development Committee is continuing to work on project labor, prevailing wage and the union transparency recertification bill. I know that Chairman Rader is going to continue to work on those things into next week.
First of all, thanks for doing this every week.
You're welcome.
But why do you do it? Why do you have this press conference?
Well, look, I think your all's mission of communicating what we do in this body to the general public is important, and we'd like to be able to talk about the things that we did this week. And sometimes we're busy and we don't always have as much time to do it as we would like, but this is something that's been a tradition in the House for a long time.
Do you find it difficult to do?
It depends on the week. What else?
Speaking of, I mean, this week, I know you said yesterday at the NAACP convention that this wasn't the House's best week, especially with what happened with between Representative Lant and Mr. Chappell, and then you could maybe argue the Facebook posting of Representative Love talking about Abraham Lincoln. I just kind of wanted to gather your thoughts and your reflections on this week regarding those two events.
Well, I said on the opening day of session both last year and this year that I wanted that Missouri House to be a place where everyone has the chance to express their views and opinions, and that we have a free and open debate, but a respectful debate. And so, as I said on Wednesday, I know Mr. Chappell, and I want him to always feel welcome and like he can share his personal views and the views of the organization that he represents with our committees. And so I think Chairman Land has done the right thing by agreeing to reopen that hearing when we come back to that bill, and I think that will help us continue that effort towards the free and open dialogue.
Have you scheduled that meeting to speak with Mr. Chappell? Yeah, I know.
I've spoken with Mr. Chappell multiple times since Monday or Tuesday night.
Is there any plan to replace Representative Lant? Or?
No.
Do you believe the governor should disclose his financing for the inauguration as previous governors have done?
Listen, I believe in open and transparent government, and beyond that, I'm not going to comment.
Speaker, there's a letter going around asking the Attorney General to take some action to keep Missouri from being subject to Real ID. Do you endorse that letter?
Yeah, I've signed the letter, and look, there's a number of people in the House that are concerned about the impacts of Real ID, and I know a number of people have spoken with the Attorney General about it. So, yes.
Do you believe Real ID is constitutional?
I believe Real ID, the Federal Real ID Act? Right. I believe you can make a very strong constitutional argument, but I don't get the chance to sit on the U.S. Court of Appeals or the U.S. Supreme Court, so beyond that, I'll leave it there.
nonpartisan court plan is going to be coming up, well, because
You guys are going all over the map today. I like it. So.
They're going to be debating, or deliberating over the 31 nominees for the Supreme Court. What is your take on the nonpartisan court plan as it stands today? Is it something that needs changes? I know that Governor Greitens has suggested that it could be altered or changed.
I think there's some room to look at the nonpartisan court plan and how it operates. And I think this, how the commission approaches this panel will probably be very instructive on how people look at that process going forward.
Wishing I elected Representative Barnes yet? Or?
I won't comment on that. They've got a number of good options. All right, thanks, guys.